Okay. What is your name?
Mohammed Adam Nawaz Patan.
Okay. Where do you live?
Mitcham.
Where in Mitcham?
By the border of Tooting and Mitcham.
Okay. How many people are in your household?
7, including myself.
How many siblings do you have?
I've got 3 younger brothers and 1 younger sister.
Okay, what is your race and ethnicity?
Now, I was born here, so I'm British, but my mum's from Pakistan and my dad's from India.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 19.
Okay, how did this year's challenges or anything from last year change compared to this year?
I say this time last year, I was mainly struggling with coursework, trying to catch up with deadlines. Had my A-level exams to revise for, and it was the main pressure of getting into university. This year, obviously, I've gone past all that, and I'm studying at university, and the coursework is a lot more or less. There's no exams at the moment for me, so I say in terms of struggling and challenges, it's definitely reduced a lot more, and I say my only struggle and challenge at the moment is probably trying to get the best grades I can in my coursework for uni.
Okay. What's the role of each family member in your house?
Alright, I'll start from the top. I say my dad, he's like the one in charge of everything. He's the one kind of responsible. Everyone kind of turns to him, looks to him for advice. He works, supports the family, brings the money in. He's the one who comes to like any problems or anything. I say my mum obviously takes care of the household, the family, keeps the house clean, makes sure there's food on the table, cooks the food and everything. Any kind of domestic stuff, she's the one who kind of take care of that. Does the laundry and stuff. But obviously we all help out around the house, but she's like the main person to do that kind of stuff. Then me, I'm the oldest of the children, so I've obviously got to set an example for the rest of my brothers and sisters. Help out around the house, do any of the bigger tasks, lifting stuff around, moving things around. And the rest of my brothers, same thing, obviously because they're younger, they don't do as much, but they still help around the house, and it's just them, I'm doing my degree, my younger brother is doing his A-levels, the next one's doing his GCSEs, and the youngest brother, he's just in Rockbridge at the moment, he's year 8, so he's just doing his education. My little sister, she's going to be 7 this year, so she's just doing normal school stuff.
Okay. What activities do boys do differently from the women in your house?
There's not really much difference in the household in terms of activities, but I would say probably the main thing that I noticed because my mum and sister are the only girls in the house. My sister obviously she's small still, and she's 6, 7 years old, so she didn't want to do much. But in terms of what all of us boys do compared to what my mum will do, she does the majority of the kind of main cleaning, for example the laundry, or what else would she do? Ironing the clothes every now and then. Obviously we take in turns to iron the clothes or do the hoover, that kind of normal daily chores, but I'd say the one main thing that she will definitely do that we never really do is the laundry of the clothes. Otherwise everything's really shared out, to be honest.
So everything is equal between...
Majority is all equal, there's nothing one person will do someone else wouldn't do. But then one thing my mum definitely does do that none of us do is the laundry.
Okay. Who has the biggest role in your house and why?
In terms of domestically in the house, definitely my mum. She knows what's kind of going on with the house, cleaning it, keeping it in order, the clothes, the washing up, the food. In terms of generally, it's definitely going to be my dad in it because he's the oldest, most responsible with that.
Okay. What are your future aspirations and why?
I'm not 100% sure at the moment what I want to do. I don't want to be successful. Right now I'm doing a degree in computing and design. So hopefully something in those fields. I want to finish off my degree, hopefully take it to a master's and see what kind of job opportunities come in the future for me.
Okay. What would you say is your biggest achievement?
Today I would say I already have one main achievement, but from the top of my head I've got 2 or 3. One's going to have to be I took a gap year after GCSE to memorise the Quran, and so doing that's definitely a big achievement personally for me. Another one is just basically passing my A-levels, passing my GCSEs, getting into university, just academically being able to accomplish all of those is quite an achievement. Just getting where I am in life at the moment, I suppose. Like, obviously, I can do a lot better than what I am at the moment, but just being able to get where I am right now, I think that's kind of an achievement for me as well.
Okay. What would you say is the most important thing to you right now, like in your life?
In my life, one thing that's the most important to me, and always has been and always will be, I suppose, is going to be my religion, because that's the kind of thing that daily kind of guides me, kind of shows me how to live my life. So the foundation of everything in my life, kind of thing, is going to be religion. So I think that's going to be the most important.
Okay. Do you see men and women as equals or different in their status?
Generally in the world today, kind of thing. Or
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You see them as equals.
Yeah.
So you don't see them one doing something that you don't see men doing something that a woman can't do. Or
no, back in the obviously there's that whole stereotype, but
do you think that still exists today?
Yeah, definitely. You can see that, like in terms of like, big businesses, it's women are breaking through slowly, but there'll always be that whole masculine kind of thing about business. And there are a lot of people, like myself included, like we're obviously equally now, but there are always going to be those kind of old-fashioned, proper masculine people who think, no, women belong at home doing this and that, and that I should be in the business. So I see them both as equal, but I also think that in terms of women and males in their roles here, that I'm all for women having their jobs, having their career and all that, but I think, for example, if a woman wants to kind of get married, have a family and that, yeah, I personally feel that, okay, it's the guy's role to go out, get the job, support the family, and the woman can do that as well if they want. If they want to do that, cool, that's alright. But at the same time, it should also be their kind of priority to, like, you know, keep the children at home and all that, look after them, look after the house, cook the food. Now, obviously the guy can take in turns looking after the house, cooking the food and that, but I think the woman should be one of their main priorities to kind of make sure that's an order in it. So if they can do that and have a job, then that's all the better for them. But I would say, when it comes to that stage where they have to get married and that should be the woman's main priority over a job, whereas the guy should always have the kind of job to support his family.
Okay. How would you describe your community? And that can be like, that's not in general, that's sort of like, so obviously your nation.
Social kind of life thing. Or
yeah, like, you know, your nation, how would you describe, you know, the Asian community or the community in your area, you know, the people around you and stuff like that?
There is some kind of an Asian community in my local neighbourhood kind of thing, I would say. I don't really interact with any of them. I would say they're mainly from Sri Lanka. There are some Indians, but in terms of that, I don't really like socialise with them, talk to them that much. We just kind of live there. I go to the mosque every week, and that's in Tooting, and that's got a big Asian community. And we kind of know each other by face. We don't really know much about each other, but like, we recognise each other, know we're in the same community, go to the same mosque. So that's all kind of friendly and everything. That's about as far as it goes with me personally.
Okay. Is success important to you? And if it is, then why?
Yeah, definitely it's important. Because if you haven't got success, then you're going to be like a failure or whatever, innit? And you need success in order to kind of succeed in life, to actually have a decent lifestyle. If you want to live in a house, have your family, have a car, have a job, all that, you need to be successful to get that. If you're not successful, then it's not even in terms of being successful in terms of a career, just generally being successful or whatever, it means that you've got the motivation, you're going to go and do something in a decent kind of fashion, rather than just kind of lazing around and expecting stuff. If you're like that, then nothing's going to happen in it, so you've got to be successful in order to do something.
Okay. What are you most likely to be aware of when in the outside environment?
I think like when I'm walking around or whatever outside.
Yeah, whenever you're out of your house, basically.
I'm always aware of everything around me, kind of things. Like I'm walking down the road, all the people around me, the cars, what people are doing. Even though when people kind of look at me and I might kind of show it, I might look like I'm to myself or whatever. I'm a really aware person. Like I'm really aware of what that person over there is doing, what this person's doing, and I'll analyse the situation a lot in my head around me. That's the kind of person I am. So I'd say I'm a really aware person.
Okay. Do you keep fit?
No.
Why?
Straight up. I would like to join a gym, but it's finding the time to do it, and on top of that, the pricing for it. I do, like for example, since public transport, the prices have gone up. I haven't got free travel anymore. I walk to places a lot more, so I guess in terms of that sense, as a secondary kind of effect to me, not choosing to pay for the bus or whatnot, I'll walk. So I guess I'm not keeping fit, but it's some form of exercise, just walking around. Otherwise, I don't really take any kind of effort to keep fit or anything like that, really.
Who would you say is the most fittest person in your family?
I'd probably say my third oldest brother, purely because he used to be quite unhealthy, lazy, didn't really do any kind of physical stuff, and then in the last year I've seen a big change in his whole lifestyle, in his physical appearance. He seems to be doing a lot more active things, taking care of what he eats a lot more, being a bit more conscious about it, and I've seen a big physical difference in terms of what he looks like and stuff. So I would say in terms of who's the most fit, it'd probably be him.
Okay. So obviously as a family, do you think you're fit together?
Probably not. I don't know.
So what can be done to make you become more fit?
Well, I guess the obvious answer to make someone fit would be exercise and stuff, but I know within my family, we wouldn't really be able that's not something that we would actually do, like go to the gym or whatever, walking around. You're just a family, you haven't got time for it and the whole thing of that. But I would say in terms of trying to get fit or become healthy, one thing that you could target would probably be the whole eating thing. Like instead of having a lot of oily or fatty foods all the time, if you change the food you eat at home, because everyone's going to eat at home, innit? So if you make that a bit more healthy, that will target everyone at home, and that should play some kind of role in terms of making them more healthy than they are at the moment.
Okay. What are your views on current political and social issues?
In terms of political, I'm quite annoyed at the moment because I obviously voted Labour, and they're not in power anymore. There's a coalition between Conservatives and Lib Dems, although it's mainly Conservatives in power and Lib Dems kind of behind there for the sake of it. I'm quite annoyed at the way they've kind of they've just kind of taken over and done what they want. They said a lot of things when they were running up for election, this, that and the other. Like for example, the Liberal Democrats, they're putting the tuition fees up to about £9,000 a year now, when they were going to say they're going to scrap it completely. So it's just doing things completely opposite. It's kind of, even though I wasn't going to vote for them anyway, it's made me lose even more trust. For example, like they came into power, fair enough, I might have gained some trust in them from what they did, but it's made me lose even more trust. So I've lost a lot of trust in the government. In terms of them cutting child benefits, things like that, I know directly affects my family. Those things that annoys me. Socially, affects me socially. Ever since college, there was a big social thing there. A lot of people go to the college and that. I'm studying from home now through the Open University, and so then I don't have that big social aspect anymore. In terms of relying on people and kind of meeting up people, keeping in touch, it's just things like Facebook and the internet, social media like that, to keep in contact rather than actually seeing people physically all the time. So that's what's changed a lot with me, I think.
What would you say gives you motivation? What motivates you?
Definitely the thought of being successful, I would say. That in order to kind of get a good lifestyle, drive a nice car, have a big house, have a lot of money, you want to be successful to get there, innit? So whenever you're doing something, you're going to be successful in that, so you can overall be successful. So I'd say that's the biggest motivation, to have a good kind of lifestyle, be successful like that.
Okay. Do you think people with disabilities don't have the same opportunities or the same rights as normal people would have in a community or in like an area?
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely a bit. Obviously, they're going to be a bit of a disadvantage depending on what disability they have. Well, for example, I was on the tube the other day, and then I just was looking at the tube map things, and then some platforms or some stations have disabled kind of access, like they have a lift or something, and then some didn't. So I was thinking, obviously I'm not disabled, I don't have any kind of wheelchair, I can easily go to whatever stop I want, go to where I want. But I was thinking, imagine if I was in a wheelchair, how much more difficult would it be for me to actually use public transport to get from A to B? I'd have to go to certain stations that have those disabled things. Then what if like I want to go to this area, but doesn't have the disabled access in it, I'd have to go to the next stop, whatever. And even though it's the next stop, that might be, you don't know how far it is from the actual area you want to go to. So I'd say generally, yeah, even though people seem to be thinking a lot more like, yeah, disabled people, they have rights too, they're all the same. Just in terms of the area around us, I don't think it's fit for disabled people completely yet. They need to take a lot more consideration towards them. But I wouldn't have really thought of it until I was looking at that.
Okay. What are your views or your opinions on the environment you live in at the moment? So that could be like the area you live in,
At the
or
moment,
Mitcham as a whole.
yeah, Mitcham as a whole, it's got a stereotypical kind of poor kind of aura about it. It's a crime kind of area. There are a lot of council places, gangs. But in terms of like, even though I'm in Mitcham, where I live, I don't really see any of that, to be honest. It seems like a decent kind of quiet community. People get on with their lives. They're okay. They're friendly with each other. I personally haven't seen any kind of crime, witnessed any crime myself. What I would say that does annoy me is there's a lot of roadworks going a lot of the time, which disturbs the traffic, the way people walk around, and just a personal kind of thing. On my road, they've introduced a parking permit zone now. So instead of just park where you want now, you have to actually pay to park there. And if you're a resident there, you have to pay for like an annual fee to like, get a permit there to park there, innit? So that kind of thing annoys me, affects me that they're doing something like that in the community. But otherwise, not really too complaints really. It's not too bad.
Alright, so obviously the things you said about parking and crime and stuff, what do you think can be done to improve it?
In terms of crime, I haven't actually witnessed anything, but then I'm not in the heart of Mitcham, so to speak. So I know that there must be crime probably. I've heard it from when I was at school, that in the areas where there are estates and stuff, there are a lot of gangs there. To improve it, I would say they need to probably increase police patrols maybe. I haven't witnessed any of this, but I'm just saying logically, I would introduce more police in the area maybe to warn off gangs. I'd probably put more facilities in the area like community centres or library or something to actually get people to do other things than just wandering around the streets, something like that. In terms of the parking, I would tell them to just scrap that whole thing really, because even though it's done a good thing in terms of it's reduced congestion on the road, no one's really, like, they're a resident of there, they don't want to pay extra money to the government or council to park their car there.
Yeah. So those are the things that you think
That could be improved, definitely, yeah.
okay.